So, good afternoon, guys. Yesterday we were discussing about a design problem. So, let me go through that briefly. Okay, the problem was not complete yesterday, and we only checked up to deflection. So, we are going to go further now. And before that, just let me briefly explain what we have done until now. So the problem is like this. A roof of a hall measuring 6 meter by 13.7 meter. So that is an inner dimension of the hall. Consists of 120 millimeter thick RC slab supported on steel I section spaced at 3.5 meter center to center. So the hall is having walls of 30 centimeter thickness all around. The finishing load on the roof is 1 kilonewton per meter square, and live load is 2 kilonewton per meter square. Design the steel beam and apply all necessary checks on the design. Okay, and we have several different steps: calculation of design load and the corresponding bending moment. So calculation of required plastic section modulus, section, selection of a section. Okay, then section properties and section classification. Check for shear, check for bending moment, and check for deflection. Until that point, we did yesterday. Next two steps: check for web buckling and the check for web crippling. So as I said in the previous class, if D by TW is less than or at most equal to 67 epsilon, so you don't have to check for the web buckling and web crippling. Okay, normally for all those rolled sections, IS, HB, IS, MB, IS, WB, IS, LB, etc. So check for web buckling is not required if you satisfy those conditions, and so normally it is not required. Only in case of plate girders and other fabricated sections, then you need to check for web buckling and web crippling. So if those conditions are not satisfied, then in case of, as I said, plate girders and other fabricated sections, we are going to go ahead and design stiffeners and provide the same. Okay, so in this case, check for web buckling is the next step. So web buckling happens at the point where the concentrated load is active. In this case, the beam is uniformly distributed. If at all there is concentrated load, there is a reaction, and the magnitude of the reaction is equal to the maximum shear force of 101.59 kilonewton. So as a result of the presence of this shear force, so the web may buckle. That depends on what kind of stress that is going to develop along the center line of the beam. So we have to check and we have to make sure that the load carried by that area of the web is good enough or adequate enough to take care of Vmax equal to 101.59 kilonewton. Sorry, 101.59 kilonewton. Okay. So for that, what we do is this web acts as a column, this web portion, that is, this is the web portion, and this is the distribution or load distribution line or dispersion line of the load. So that is provided at an angle of 45 degree as recommended in the code on page number on 8.7.3.1 on page number 67. Please open that page number 67. Okay. Then B1 is the width of the support and N1 is the width over which the load gets distributed. So the total weight over which this Vmax value gets distributed is B1 plus N1, and the total area is given by B1 plus N1 multiplied by TW, that is the thickness of the web. Okay, so we are going to find out what is the design capacity of the web portion of width equal to B1 plus N1 and thickness TW. So once you calculate the design capacity, we are going to compare that value with Vmax and B1 plus, and whatever the design capacity of the web portion should always be greater than Vmax value. Then only we can say the web is adequate or safe against web crippling failure. Okay. So again, for that what we do is we are going to consider 1 millimeter width of the web here, okay, at in the vicinity of the support. This is 1 millimeter width. So if you look from the top, you'll see this rectangle. 1 millimeter is the width, and this thickness equal to thickness of the web, and that acts as a column. So we need to find out what is the design compressive load on this column of dimension 1 millimeter multiplied by TW. Okay, once we have that, so we are going to multiply, or we are going to find out what is the FCD value corresponding to this. Once we have the FCD value, we are going to multiply that FCD value with the area, that is equal to B1 plus N1 multiplied by the thickness of the web. So we'll find out what is FCD value, that is the design compressive stress. So this is the height. Okay, small d is the height that is measured from this edge where the thickness equal to the thickness of the web. Below that the thickness increases, and below that, sorry, above that the thickness increases. Below the dotted line, the thickness is going to remain uniform of 8.1 millimeter. Similarly, at the bottom. So then what is small wd? That is equal to total depth of the section multiplied by TF, sorry, not multiply, minus of TF plus R1, where TF is the thickness of the flange, R1 is the radius of the quadrant of a circle at the junction. And we are going to deduct TF plus R1 two times because we have one more TF plus R1 at the bottom. So to obtain small d, that is equal to 293.6 millimeter. So once you take this out and place here, this acts as a column of width 1 millimeter and depth, this one, and the thickness of the column is 8.1 millimeter. So this d is not the depth, instead d is the length of the column. Okay, so let us find out what is the design compressive stress for this column. So by the first thing we need to do is, what is the buckling class the rectangular section belongs to? So according to page number 44, if you open it of the code book, please open page number 44 of the code book. So table 10, it says for a rectangular section, the buckling class is C, whether you take the bending about ZZ axis or YY axis. It is always buckling class C. Okay, that is decided. Now to find out, then according to buckling class C, we can go back and we can find out FCD value from page 42. Page 42, table 9C is prepared for FCD values for buckling class C. Okay, to know buckling class C, first thing we need to know is KL by R. So what is K value? Here we are taking the value of K equal to 0.70. Then what is L? L is nothing but small d, that is the height of the column or length of the column, divided by r is the radius of gyration about which the column bends. Okay, here that r is nothing but are called as r minimum, that is square root of I by a, that is about this axis. What is I? 1 millimeter multiplied by TW cube by 12, that is BDQ by 12 formula. So that's what it is. This is BDQ by 12 divided by area of that column of depth TW. So 1 multiplied by TW. Finally, we got the radius of gyration equal to TW by root 12. So that is 2.34 millimeter. So once that is done, find out what is the slenderness ratio lambda, that is equal to KL by R. So K is 0.70, L is nothing but small d, that is the height of the column or the length of the column, divided by R minimum is 2.34 millimeter, we calculated just now. So this is 87.83. Okay, once we have it, go to page number 42 of the code book, that is for buckling class C, and for FY 250, so the actual value of lambda, that is the slenderness ratio, is 87.83, which falls between 80 and 90. So for 80, that is for the value of KL by R equal to 80, for 250 steel, so the value of FCD is 136. Similarly, for 90, it is 121. So 87.83, that is the actual KL by R value in our case. That is the slenderness ratio value. We have to do interpolation. So by doing interpolation, we got the FCD value equal to 124.25 Newton per millimeter square. That is the FCD value. That is the design compressive stress of the column. Okay, so FCD value, that is for unit area multiplied by the area over which this concentrated load is distributed is equal to B1 plus N1 multiplied by the thickness of the web which runs perpendicular to the paper. Okay, B1 plus N1 multiplied by the thickness of the web will give you the area, multiplied by FCD will give you the design compressive strength of the web portion in this area. So let us find out what the value is. So FCD, we got this here, 124.25. So we know it is buckling class C. Then the design strength FCDW equal to FCD multiplied by area of cross section of the web at mid height. Okay, FCD, yes, it is 124.25. B1 is the width of the support plus N1 is 175 millimeter. So that is, this N1 is 175 millimeter. How did we get this? As the code says, we have to draw a dispersion line at an angle of 45 degree. Okay, once you draw this dispersion line, so this N1 value will be equal to half the depth of the section. Okay, what is the half the depth of the section for ISMB 300? It is going to be 300 by 2, that is 150 millimeter. So that's what it is. So that is B1 plus N1. So it is not 300, IS 350 we have selected. So N1 is 175 and B1 is 300, that is the width of the support, and 124 we got from here and put the value here. Okay, multiplied by the thickness of the web, 8.1 mm. So convert the value into kilonewton by dividing the same by 1000. So this is FCW value, that is the design compressive strength of the web against web buckling, 478 kilonewton. So that is greater than Vmax value, that is the design load that support is experiencing at the support. So strength or capacity or the capacity is greater than the design load at that point. Hence, the section is safe against web buckling. Next, what is web crippling? As I explained in the previous class, so web crippling happens here, where that web portion meets the flange portion. Okay, that's where we get the stress concentration. So what is N2? This distribution line is according to 2.5 horizontal and 1 vertical. So where did we get that N2 equal to 2.5 horizontal to 1 vertical? If you go to again page number 67, second column under 8.7.3, if you go to the last line, you would see N2 equal to something. And if you go to the next page of the first line of the next page, so there you will see 2.5. Okay, so 2.5 horizontal, 1 vertical. So what is this vertical distance? So this vertical distance is going to be the thickness of the flange plus R1. So that's what this vertical distance is. So because it is the distribution line or dispersion line is at a slope of 2.5 horizontal and 1 vertical, so N2 is equal to 2.5 times TF plus R1 value. Okay, and this reaction is distributed over, it is taken to be distributed over the length of B1 plus N2. So going further, if you look here, so 8.7.4, page 67, B1 plus N2 multiplied by the thickness of the web multiplied by FYW multiplied by, divided by gamma MO. So substitute all the values. Finally, we get FW equal to 682 kilonewton. That means this portion, web crippling, happens at the design load of 682 kilonewton. Okay, but we are only applying a design load of 101.59 kilonewton. Therefore, the section is adequate against web crippling failure. So web buckling happens at the mid depth. Web crippling happens at the bottom, at the point where it is closest to the point of concentrated load. Okay, this completes the problem. Next, we will go to the next problem. So this is about the cantilever beam. Design a cantilever beam which is built into concrete wall and carrying a load of 25 kilonewton per meter and live load of 10 kilonewton per meter. The span of the beam is 5 meter. That is, the length of the cantilever beam is 5 meter. Okay. So these are the design steps we have. So that is calculation of design load and design bending moment. Then calculation of required section modulus. Then once the section modulus is known, you go to annexure H on page number 138 and select a section. Here also I prefer to select ISMB section. Then after selecting a section, so you know the section details, you can write what are the section properties by looking at the code book as well as from the steel table. And also we can do classification whether that section is compact, plastic or semi-compact. So that is done under section classification. Once the section classification is over, we are going to go ahead and check for shear. Next, check for bending moment, check for deflection, and web buckling and web crippling later. Okay. So coming to the first step, that is calculation of design load and maximum or design bending moment. So let us calculate what is the load. So load carried by the beam is 25 kilonewton per meter. So that is given already. and live load equal to 10 kilonewton per meter. Again, that is given. So self weight of the beam, actually it is not given. So what we can do is by taking 25 and 10 and adding those things, we can go back and find out what is the required section modulus. Once the section is selected, then we will be knowing exactly what is the weight of the section. Then we can go back and revise it. So that's what we did in the first problem. But here, to cut down the step, so I have assumed the self weight of the beam equal to 1 kilonewton per meter. You also simply assume 1 kilonewton per meter for all cases. Okay. So once the self weight is added, the total service load is 36 kilonewton per meter. This is the service load. So for design, what we need is a design load or a factored load or ultimate load. So what is the factored load? Multiply that service load by 1.5 load factor. Finally, we got W equal to 54 kilonewton per meter. So W 54 kilonewton per meter is the load to which the cantilever beam is distributed uniformly. Okay. So once the load is known, we can find out what is the maximum bending moment and also what is the maximum shear force. So find out what is the maximum bending moment. This is not WL square by 8 bending moment. That is only for a simply supported section. For a cantilever section, it is going to be W times L will give you the total load, and that total load is assumed to be acting at the point, this is the resultant point, which is located at a distance of L by 2. Okay, that is 5 by 2, 2.5 meter from the support. Okay, and find out what is the bending moment. Maximum bending moment happens at the support, not at the free end. It is 0 there. So this is the formula, W L square by 2. And we got a max value equal to 675 kilonewton meter. That is the design bending moment to which we need to design a section. Okay. So once the maximum bending moment is calculated, the next point is to pick up a section. To pick up a section, what we need to do is first we need to calculate what is the section modulus required. That is a plastic section modulus required. So for that, we are going to make use of the formula MD equal to beta B ZP Fy divided by gamma M. Okay, as given in 8.2.1 to 1.2, page 53. In this case, we are going to assume that beta B equal to 1. That means we are going to assume that the section we are going to select is going to be compact or plastic. Then only beta B equal to 1. So by assuming that, by taking beta B equal to 1, so we can find out what is ZP. So that is going to be ZP required. To get the value of ZP required, in place of MD, we have to substitute the value of M max. Okay, if you look at this formula, ZP required, I have retained as it is. Beta B goes down, Fy goes down, gamma M goes up. So finally, this is the way the formula turns out to be. So ZP required equal to, substitute the values. M max is the maximum bending moment. Gamma MO is 1.10. So beta B, yes, we have assumed that as 1. And Fy is 250. Finally, we got the value of ZP required equal to 2970 centimeter cube. Okay. Now, for this section modulus, we need to pick up a section. So again, I go with ISMB. So to pick up an ISMB, please open page number 138. Annexure H, page number 138. Please open it. I hope you are on that page. Turn the code book by 90 degree. clockwise. Do you see that? Do you see the page, Annexure H? Plastic properties of beams. Now, come back to the last but one, this one, column, from the right side. So that column has plastic modulus values, ZPZ values. Okay, so we have ISWB 600, ISWB 600, ISMB 600, then ISWB 550, 600, etc. So if you keep going down, at some point I'm going to get ISMB 550 corresponding to that. What is the section modulus for that section? It is 2711.98. So, but how much we need? We need at least ZB required equal to 2974 centimeter cube. So ISMB 550 is not adequate. Then go up a little bit, look for ISMB 600. Okay, ISMB 600. So what is the section modulus for ISMB 600? Again, come horizontally to the last but one column. So plastic section modulus for that ISMB 600 is 3510.63 centimeter cube, which is way greater than 2970 centimeter cube required. Okay, so once the ZPZ is selected, which is greater than 2970 centimeter cube, so now we have selected a section. Is it not? So look at the code book and the steel table, write all the details of this section. So that is the properties of this section. This is what it weighs, 1203 Newton per meter. I don't think we need it. Okay, depth of the section is 600 millimeter, breadth of the flange 210. So all those dimensions. So similarly, when you need IZZ value, so you can get that value from the steel table. Okay, not from the steel code book, it is not available. So when you take IZZ value from the steel table for that ISMB 600 section, so you are not going to look at the table for IZZ, instead you are going to look for IXX value. That is the way the steel table uses. So pick that IXX value and write it as IZZ here. That is equal to 91813 into 10 to the power of 4 millimeter 4. Okay, R1 is 20 mm. Again, you are going to get it. ZPZ and ZEZ. So for that section, ZPZ is 3510.63 centimeter cube. Next, what is ZEZ? That is the elastic section modulus, or simply section modulus. This ZEZ we got from the steel table, from the code book, or else we can also get that value from the steel table. Okay, and it is written as ZXX. Okay, instead of ZPZ. So for ISMB 600. So write those values, find out what is D. D equal to 519 millimeter. You know how to calculate D. That is capital D, that is overall depth minus 2 times thickness of the flange plus R. Okay. Next we go with section classification. We have to check whether the given section is plastic or compact or semi-compact or slender. So that's what the section classification does. So under section classification, first find out what is B divided by TF, where B is half the width of the flange. Half the width of the flange, you remember. So the total flange width is 210 millimeter for the section we have selected. Then half of it is 105 millimeter and the thickness of the flange is 20.3 millimeter. So find out what is that B by TF value, which is less than 99.4 epsilon. Okay. So where did you get that 9.4 epsilon? You got that value from the table. Okay. So once this condition is satisfied, the flange is plastic. Next, check for D by TW. That is 43.28. That is less than 84 epsilon. So the web is also plastic. When the flange is plastic and the web is plastic, the entire section is plastic. Okay. So once that is done, we go ahead and we are going to check for shear first before we check for bending. So what is the check for shear? This is the shear force, that is WU by L, because we don't have two supports to divide the load into two equal parts. Instead, there is only one support for the cantilever beam. So whatever the total load acting downwards is going to be the shear force at this support. So that's why 54 is the design load multiplied by 5. 5 is the length of the cantilever beam. So Vmax value is equal to 270 kilonewton. Okay. 270 is that shear force due to the load, external load. Next, what is the design shear strength of this section? We have selected. That is the shear capacity of this section we have selected. So that is calculated using the formula Vd equal to Vn divided by gamma m. So Vn is AV multiplied by Fy divided by root 3. What is AV? This is the shear area. Shear area is given by the thickness of the web of the section multiplied by the total depth. There is going to be a small thin rectangle. Okay, that is the shear area multiplied by Fy by root 3 is the shear strength, of course, per unit area. So substitute the values. That is Vd equal to AB is H multiplied by TW. So Fy by root 3 divided by gamma m. So by substituting the values, we can find out what is Vd value. So what is the Vd value? 944.75 kilonewton, that is greater than 270 kilonewton. That means Vd equal to 944.75 kilonewton is the design shear capacity of the section we have selected. That is way greater than the design shear force at the supporting point, which is 270 kilonewton. So ours is safe. The section is safe against any kind of shear failure. Okay. Next, once that is done, check for bending moment. So now which formula we are going to make use of to check for bending moment depends on two things. One is D by TW, what is the value? So D by TW is 519 is D, 0.4 is D, divided by TW is the thickness of the web. So that is 43.28. This is less than 67 epsilon, where epsilon equal to 1. Okay, so because this condition is satisfied, so we can go ahead and we can one step further and check for whether the section is subjected to high shear or low shear. So how do we check? We know the value of Vd, that is 945.75 kilonewton. Multiply that value by 0.6 as per the codal recommendation on page 53. So 0.6 VD, we got the value equal to 566.85 kilonewton. Compare that value with Vmax value. Okay, once 0.6 VD is greater than Vmax value, then the section is subjected to low shear. Is it clear to you? So once the section is subjected to low shear, we can make use of this formula. Okay, only for low shear we can use this formula. Okay, so MD equal to beta B ZP Fy divided by gamma MO, and we have to make sure that that value is less than or at most equal to 1.5 ZT Fy divided by gamma MO. So what is this says? Find out what is beta B ZP Fy divided by gamma MO and find out what is the value here and take lesser of those two values as the value of MD. If you look here, in the previous examples have taken 1.2 ZE Fy divided by gamma MO. But in this case, I have taken 1.5. Why? Go to page number 53 of the code book. Please go there. I hope you are on page number 53. So first column, go from the bottom. Are you seeing at 8.2.1.2? So under that, under 8.2.1.2, second paragraph, it says to avoid irreversible deformation under serviceability loads, MD should be less than 1.2 ZE Fy divided by gamma MO in case of simply supported and 1.5 ZE Fy divided by gamma MO in cantilever beams. So that is the reason why I have used 1.5 ZE Fy divided by gamma MO here. So find out these two values. So beta B ZP Fy divided by gamma MO, that is equal to 797.8 kilonewton meter. So what is ZP value? ZP value is nothing but the ZPZ value. Okay. Then ZE value is nothing but the elastic section modulus which you are going to get from the steel table under Z, that is elastic section modulus. So once we have these two values, so this is beta B ZP Fy divided by gamma MO is less than 1.5 ZE Fy divided by gamma MO. So use that value. In other words, take lesser of these two values, that is lesser of 797.8 and 1043.32, and that is the design strength or design capacity of the section. But what is the design moment we are going to get from the external design load? That is 675 kilonewton meter. That is the moment, plastic moment, the section is going to experience due to the design load. So, but what is the capacity? 797.80. Therefore, it is adequate. The section is adequate against any bending failure. Okay. Next, as usual, we are going to go and check for deflection. So, to check for deflection, we need to consider the service load. You know this already. Is it not? So, design load in this example on the top, WU equal to 54 kilonewton per meter. But to get the service load, whatever ultimate load, WU value we got, should be divided by the factor, load factor 1.5 to arrive at the service load. So we got that value W equal to 36 kilonewton per meter, and the maximum deflection occurs at the tip of the support, at the free end, and that deflection is given by the formula WL4 divided by 80I. Substitute all the formulas in this equation. Okay, so W is the load in Newton per millimeter, L is the value in millimeter. So everything you substitute in terms of Newton and millimeter. So finally, the actual deflection we got was 15.32 millimeter. Okay, and what is the allowable deflection? Again, go to page number 31 of the code book. Please go. Open page number 31 of the code book. Look at table 6. Again, go to the leftmost column. We say industrial buildings, and the next one below that is other buildings. So under other buildings, we have lateral and vertical forces. So I don't use lateral. Instead, it is going to be vertical deflection. So again, live load. One is floor and roof and the other is cantilever. Go for cantilever because this is our cantilever beam. So under cantilever beam, elements not susceptible to cracking and elements susceptible to cracking. So here I am going to take elements not susceptible to cracking. So for that, the limiting deflection is span divided by 360. Sorry, span divided by 150. So that is L by 150. What is L? That is the length of the cantilever, which is 500 divided by 150. So we got delta allowable equal to 33.33 millimeter. That is the maximum allowable deflection for that beam. Okay, but what is the actual deflection happening? So that is 15.32 millimeter. So 15.32 millimeter is less than the allowable of 33.33 millimeter. Therefore, even the deflection condition is satisfied. Is it clear to you? Next, what are the other two parts? One is for check for web buckling at support, and the other is for the web crippling. So web buckling, so we are going to do the same way, exactly the same way we did in the previous example. That is, we draw this dispersion line. Okay, so go to 8.7.4 on page 67 of the code book, regard 8.7.3.1 for web buckling, and get the value. So consider 1 millimeter width of the web portion and the height small d equal to whatever the height you get. Okay, and when you look from the top of 1 meter width, this is what you are going to see. Okay, this is the depth of the column. Find out what is the FCD value for this. That is the design compressive stress for this column. So find out to calculate the design compressive stress, FCD. So least radius of gyration, and TW divided by √2 calculated. And finally, the radius of gyration is 3.464 millimeter. Okay. So by taking a value of K equal to 0.70, again that is given in the code. I don't want to go to the code to prove that K equal to 0.70. So I'm just simply taking as it is. So by knowing the value of K and also the least radius of gyration, we have this formula, that is slenderness ratio equal to KL by R. So we know what is K value. Now what is D value, you know? R minimum is known. Therefore, lambda, that is a slenderness ratio equal to 105, numerical value. So it has no unit. So for a rectangle section, The buckling class is always C. That's why we need to refer table 9C on page 42 of the code book to get the value of FCD. So for 250 steel from page 42 of the code book, for KL by R value, slenderness ratio value, for 100 equal to 107 Newton per millimeter square. For 110, 94.6 Newton per millimeter square. So ours is 105. So find out what is the value of FCD for the lambda equal to 105. So through interpolation, I got FCD equal to 100.8 Newton per millimeter square FCD. So if you multiply that FCD value by the area of the web over which the reaction load is going to be distributed, so we get FCDW, that is the design compressive strength of the web portion. So we got that value equal to 725.76 kilonewton, which is way greater than 270 kilonewton, which is the value of the concentrated load at the support. Or in other words, this is the design load Vmax. Okay, so web buckling is safe. Next, we can go with the web crippling. Again, where does the web crippling happens? The web crippling happens here, and also it happens here. So N2 is the line we got, that is equal to 2.5 times the thickness of the web plus R1 value. Okay, once we know B1 plus N2, multiply that value by the thickness of the web to get the area of this length. Okay, that's what this is. Okay, multiply that by FYW value. FYW is the yield strength. Okay, yield strength of the steel material, 250 divided by 1.10, and convert that value into kilonewton. That is equal to 1093 kilonewton. So I think, yeah, here is the formula. Here is the formula. I'm substituting all the values in this formula. Okay, I got the value equal to 1093 kilonewton, which is greater than 270 kilonewton. 270 kilonewton again is the design force. Okay, so all the checks are done. Okay, the section, whatever section we have selected, is adequate, okay, to take care of that kind of load coming on the cantilever beam of length 5 meters. Okay, so with this, I'm going to end this class. Next, I'm going to go ahead and give the steps we have taken here to solve the problems. That is, the design steps I'm going to give, because I think in one of the examinations, so there is a question asking for the design steps for a laterally supported beam. So once that is done, we are going to go for laterally unsupported beam. So we are going to go only with the steps, not any design calculation. Okay. So with that, I end today's class. And again, we will see you in the